Are you determined not to let another lonely year pass you by? Well, stay tuned as we explore ways to find love in 2013 next on Views and Vibe. Finding love is no easy matter. Some have said that the harder you look for love, the less likely you are to actually find it. At the same time, you can't sit passively by in your living room waiting for love to come knock at your door. To help guide us through the twists and turns of finding romance, she is a longtime matchmaker and dating coach, Ms. Kiki Strickland. He is the host of Mood Mondays at Optimism Bar and Lounge in the Brooklyn neighborhood of Northeastern DC, Mr. Jeff Brown. And please help me welcome back to Views and Vibes, the owner of the upscale matchmaking service, Premier Match, Ms. Christie Nightingale. Welcome to Views and Vibes, my friends. Glad to have you guys here, and here to help get people love, find love, romance in 2013. When you look at how people are having such a hard time finding their mates out there, what do you suggest when you talk to people, you know, or when you think about what people need to do? What's the first thing you think they need to do?
Me first?
Yeah, sure.
Great. Well, people come to me all the time as a dating coach, and they say they want to be in a relationship, but usually when I ask them, okay, so what are you doing to help find that person, usually they aren't doing anything.
Okay.
So the first thing that I think that a person needs to do, if they really do want to be in a relationship, is make it a priority. When you make something a priority, you have it at the top of your list. You're actually out there doing something. You're taking the steps that are necessary to do that thing if it's a priority for you. So,
but go back to something you just said.
Okay.
If they really want to be in a relationship.
Exactly.
Isn't that key, Christy, to actually knowing that you want to be in a relationship before you? Don't you have to know yourself and where you are before you actually make that step?
Absolutely, and also a lot of people, you know, they're in such a hurry and on the hunt. So when a lot of individuals come to me and we sit down with and discuss during the initial consultation about what have they been doing in the past, we often then discuss, okay, well, now in this year we're going to take responsibility for our lack of dates. We're going to look at the whole picture of what has gone on this past year and the year before, and see if there seems to be some issues of reluctance, of being open-minded, or if there's a circumstance about being stuck in a rut in regards to criteria. I mean, there's a whole group of different reasons, which I'm sure we'll discuss over the show.
We will.
So I don't want to release all of them, but it's really about self-reflecting and seeing what has gone on, and then seeing what changes need to be made as we're going to try to move forward.
Now, Jeff, what about the people themselves? You know, understanding themselves better. You know, not just looking at what they've done in terms of trying to find a date, but what are they doing about bettering themselves? You know, what advice do you give to people when they come out to Mood Mondays, or what do you see people going through that they may want to change in order to have better dates, better chances?
Redundancy, like the main thing I talk about is every relationship you had in the past, if it was always the other person's fault, there's nothing you've changed about yourself. Okay. So you're the common factor, you know, and you got to recognize that you're not living in this world of you. You're living in the world, and you have to be open for someone else to live with you. So a lot of self-reflection, changing and being motivated to be open.
Now, what are some of the things, you know, as a dating coach, as a matchmaker, that you see in these individuals that they may want to work on prior to even matching them with anybody else? What do you see, and what do you tell them they should be working on?
Well, I think one of the things is attitude. Do they have a positive attitude about moving forward? As Jeff was just saying, I mean, you know, if they're going to take on this attitude of it's always the other person's fault as to why a relationship ended, they need to probably look within themselves and acknowledge that they were a contributor to part of the reason.
So you're saying it's not always somebody else's fault?
Well, yeah,
so
I would.
It could be mine, not just them. It could be me.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, you know, there's compatibility. There has to be a compromise. I mean, mean, there's circumstances that are involved in a relationship that, you know, in order for them to progress and succeed, taking on, acknowledging that and taking probably on a different attitude is really key.
What about you, Kiki?
That's a good point. I would agree with that, but I would say it's even more basic than that for some of my clients. They don't even know how to be approachable. I do a flirt night with my clients where we go out to a venue. First of all, I send them my podcast on the art of flirting and being more approachable and friendly and making eye contact, because sometimes they're not even there. They have, you said attitude. Sometimes women have been programmed, and they do it to themselves, that when they go out somewhere, they just have this closed look. They don't want anybody to talk to them. But these are the same women that are telling me, I want to meet somebody. So we have to start with the basics. When you go out, be friendly, smile, make eye contact, strike up a conversation, say hello. So not just the attitude of the relationship, but even the attitude of how to go out and be friendly and meet somebody.
Can I expand on that too? Because aside from flirting and being in the moment, in the location of where you might be, one of my big things is to tell people to turn off their iPhones and to be in the moment of the area and the environment that they're in, and not be there. It's so common now where people are just like texting away.
Drink the entire time.
Exactly. Now, how are they approachable when somebody is like texting away and are not? No one would even want to interrupt them.
And a lot of times a guy is trying to catch a woman's eye, maybe in the grocery store or somewhere, but she's so focused, she doesn't even see him.
They do it on purpose. Sometimes they phantom dial. Hello?
Right.
They're there with someone.
Yeah, but I mean, you know.
or they're wearing that ring on the wrong finger. What do you say to guys, though? What are some of the qualities that guys may sometimes need to change about themselves in order to be either more approachable or to approach or be ready for a relationship?
Our next forum that we'll be talking about is old time man and new time woman. And women are changing. Men, you know, have to remain aggressive. We have to still, you know, look like a man. We still have to act like a man. Women are not.
Just wait for them to come to you.
Right. It's not like back in the day. You send a drink.
I hear that in DC a lot.
You send a drink and you're like, oh, you can walk over. No.
Right.
So once you get past the looks and all of that, you'll still get back to that woman. But you have to be recognized as a man. You gotta at court. You gotta be aggressive. You know, not like super freaky. You know, like weird aggressive. Right.
Come here.
Not like creepy. But let her know that you're interested, like really interested, not just, oh, let me get your number and I'm probably not going to call you. But, you know, aggressive, like show her that you really, you know, she's the best thing in the world and I've never saw a woman like you before.
Be the pursuer.
Exactly.
And we appreciate
like really
that
court,
so much.
you know. So.
Yes.
There was a great article in the New York Times, not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before, in regards to the art of courting and how that whole circumstance is really starting to fall by the wayside.
Yeah, and
the kids the younger ones are not really learning how to court.
They don't even know what
and men that hold on to that, it's like gold because, yeah, there's abundance of women in DC, but what does that matter if you're not getting anywhere with it? You know, you're spinning your tires.
Right.
So if you actually, you know, go after the one that you got, you know, it's new to her. It surprises her. Right. So you get, you know, a long way.
We have a lot more to go with this conversation, so we're going to take a quick break and come back with more views and vibes after this. Yeah, I agree. Okay, I guess we can just go back. Welcome back to Views and Vibes, you guys. We're talking about trying to help you find love in 2013. We have our panelists of experts on relationships here to continue the conversation. And I want to talk more about the expectations that you find that people have before they go on dates and when they're looking at relationships. What are these expectations? Are they too high? Are they too low? What do you tend to find from people about what it is that they're looking for when it's time to start matching people up?
I think a lot of individuals will go out on the first date and they'll go away from the date thinking, could I marry this person or not marry that person? Which is so quick to jump to that conclusion without giving the date just the time due. Did they enjoy themselves? Did they feel good about themselves? Is there a chance of perhaps you know, compatibility that was met? I think they tend to believe that if they're not whacked over their head with instantaneous chemistry, that it's dead in the water, rather than really giving it a chance and going out a bunch of times. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of expectation on what they think the first 3 minutes are going to evolve into. And if they're turned off after 3 minutes, they just shut down.
How about you, Jeff?
I think way too high. Like these books, I mean, like the Steve Harvey book or whatever book. I've been on dates where a woman would quote like 5 different books. There's no natural conversation going on. It's about, well, I read this here and I read this here.
Like they're studying.
You might be this,
relationships.
you might be, no. Do you like tigers? Like, let's do something normal. They ask about your career, your degree. They're not asking about, you know, questions. If you've ever been in love, you know, none of those things really matter. You know, it's about like interests, like, you know, how are you with your family? Those questions never really come up on the first date. It's all, well, in the DC area, it's more so professional. You know.
And actually, I have a chapter in my book. It's just a damn date. Dating is not an interview. You know, you should not treat it like an interview. You should not bring your resume prepared or be prepared to read anybody else's resume on a date. You know, people have kind of lost the art of conversation. It's all about, okay, what do you have? What can you offer me? You know, let me show you what I can offer you. It's a sales pitch each and every time. You know, how do you get your clients to move away from that?
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because for expectations, I was going to bring up the point that, unfortunately, some women are expecting the guy to already act like he's her man. Like he's supposed to do this already and he's supposed to do that, and why didn't he call me? And, you know, so that expectation that I see women having, it's like, no, you guys are just getting to know each other. He is not your boyfriend. You shouldn't expect him to do this, this, and that yet. If it progresses to that, then that's fine. But women have a different expectation. Even with the calling and the texting, men like to text, and women hate that. And women are like, why doesn't he call me? When are we going to get together again? Maybe he's just filling you out, and that's why he's texting a couple of times just to see, you know, how it's going to flow. But she's like, I like it when my man calls me. So with the expectation thing, you have to take it slow. I always say match his level. If he's just texting you once a week, then, you know, just respond once a week. Don't expect more. Let him set the pace of the relationship.
I said the same exact thing. What about you, Christie? How do you get people to, you know, calm down a little bit?
Well, they can't be bringing all their baggage into the relationship that they're entering in now. You know, the axe to grind. Oh, that last relationship, if a woman is in and he was such a jerk, I mean, and the things that he did, you know, she's raw from that, and she's going to be looking at the next poor devil as, the, you know, the same kind of thing. And meanwhile, the guy may have not done anything. You know, he might have called her 30 minutes later than he was supposed to, but, you know, her last relationship would wait a day or two. So she's raw from that and angry, and could throw out that bitterness.
And actually just had a conversation this morning at the gym with somebody about that. He was saying that a lot of women he dates, they come out and just say with that laundry list of things that they're not going to do. You know, and what happened on their last relationship. Almost like they're trying to feel them out and let them know, don't expect this. I'm only offering this, even though, you know, in all honesty, if you really like them, they're going to do it anyway. But they have all this stuff inside of them that they're trying to lay out so that those expectations are already shot down.
I'll tell you. I've been on a date, not to say that I'm not chivalrous or anything, but the first time I meet you, I may open your door, but as we're getting out in a rush or whatever, you're standing in the car waiting for me to open the door. Trust me, on the first date, if I got to do all of this, you know, I'm not really looking forward to that next date. Because there's nothing, you know, I've been a gentleman the whole time, but you haven't been, there's nothing that you could have done to illustrate that you were a lady to me.
Oh, that's a great point.
You know what I mean?
My fiance opens the door for me, the car door, every single time, every single day. And we've been dating for 2 years.
Even if you're driving?
But, well, I haven't driven him, actually. But let me tell you this, because he did point out one time that it would be nice if I would reach up, once I'm in the car, he's already put me in the car, if I could lean over and actually open his door for him so that he can get in. So
that's
yeah,
a Bronx tail test.
There are different ways that the woman can demonstrate also that she is giving.
She can be chivalrous as well.
And chivalrous, although, you know, that's a manly word, but yeah, it's just that,
they say that women are only old-fashioned when the check comes. You know, like let's keep this, you know, equal here for a little bit, at least until we, you know, get the rolling.
Right.
But all of these expectations and interviewing me on a date, even if you like the date, trust me, that guy's not going to call back.
Right, right, yeah. I mean, I have another chapter that says no second date is guaranteed. And I tell people, you know, be open to a second date, because you never know. That first date, they could have had an off night. You don't know what they could have gone through that day. That second date could be so much better. Be open to it. But as the person on the other end, if you think you had a good time, don't expect there to be a second date. There may have been, there may be one, but don't expect it. You know, be open to it. But on the other side too, it's taking a step back. People need to meet other people. You know, it's before you go on a date with someone. What are some of the suggestions you have for people in order to get out there and meet folks?
Just do it. Like I said, when women sit down with me and they say, you know, I'm this age and I haven't met anybody, it's like, okay, well, are you getting out there? What do you do? What does your weekend look like?
Right.
And then they tell me they ran errands, they were with their cousin doing something, they, you know, went to the all women's event. So it's like, okay, we're gonna have to sit down and change what you're doing so that you're getting out and going to places where there's going to be single men that you can actually mix and mingle with, strike up a conversation with. Because yes, unless you have a strategy, you're probably not doing anything and you're not meeting anyone. So that's exactly what I do. I sit down with them and I come up with a new way of doing things.
Right, right, changing your lifestyle.
Even
almost.
their errands can be done differently.
Right.
To maximize possibly meeting someone.
Right, right.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeff?
I look at it like this. Like, I was divorced, so I have my children.
Somebody divorced you, man?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. But, hey,
It was her fault,
new opportunities.
Right, exactly, exactly.
So, but I look at it like this. If you were trying to get a job and you stopped working for 2 years, and I'm trying to hire you, I'm not going to hire you because you've been out the game for too long. You need to date.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I went and dated as many people as I can, like meet people, you know, introvert, extrovert, you know, short, tall, white, black, purple, orange.
Just kind of rediscovering what you like.
To rediscover myself, because I'm like, let me remove all of my, you know, my locks or whatever I think it should be, and just really create and see what I really want. Because I went after what I thought I wanted the first time. This time, I'm gonna see what could be created. And just like if it was a company, you need to get out there and date and meet people, try people that you wouldn't even think that you would have something in common with.
Right,
You know, I found out that I was on a date with somebody that was Asian that I had way more in common with than I would necessarily, you know, from the other side of the planet. Right. You know, on certain topics. You know, but that was something that I knew I did like and I didn't like. Right. You know, then I talked to somebody that you know, I might think is a better fit for me, and you'll get closer and closer to what you want.
Right.
Are your clients open to that? Because I have found the women are so close-minded. You say, you know, you have this fantasy guy, but why don't you just let go of that for a second and try, like you said, somebody different. Somebody that doesn't look like that, but they don't want to do that.
They come in with their lists, you know, and their criteria and all this other stuff. I got a quick
answer for that.
Well, we have to take a quick break. When we come back from the break, we'll continue the conversation. Don't you move. Sit right there in your seat and continue watching Views and Vibes. Welcome back to Views and Vibes, everyone. We are in the middle of a great discussion about how we can help you find love in 2013. And before we went to break, we were touching on a few points about the expectations that people have and these fantasies of what people want from people, and they may not even have those same qualities themselves. You know, what was the point that you were going to make?
Well, I was just saying that a lot of women have this long list of qualities that they want the guy to have, and it's based on maybe someone that they dated before, or it's based on that dream guy that they always felt like they needed to be with, and I'm trying to convince them to let go of that fantasy. Usually that guy has never worked in a relationship with them anyway. It's never worked out with that type of guy. So open your mind and try someone else, someone totally opposite. Like he pointed out, he might not have or look like this person that you dated before. Give another guy a chance, and usually that's when they find the right person. You always hear people say, yeah, he doesn't look anything like the guys that I used to date, or he wasn't what, you know, I thought I was going to like. So take a lesson from that and try something different next time.
Yeah, like I said earlier, like less than 1% of men are like, over 6 foot. You know, so but every woman from like about
Sweden or
exactly right. But every woman from 4'11" all the way up to 6, want a man that's that tall. And quite frankly, it's a numbers game with us. So we tend to be jerks. The guys that are putting in the work.
Jeff is about 6'10". All right.
But I mean, they can tend to be jerks. I mean, not myself, but I know the guys that are, guys that put in work to make up for that. So, just because a guy's height, or a guy has kids or doesn't have kids, we need to worry about the personality. More so, like, how does he treat his mother? That's how I look at it. I've got male friends. You guys might have dated a man, but I know my friends that don't have a good relationship with their mom tend to be a little crazy, and they're all over 6'4".
Exactly.
Right. Well, moving forward, you had another point that you wanted to make about
speaking of criteria and everything else, I mean, one of the things that I try to convince people is to reevaluate their type. I mean, a lot of times, people can get caught in a rut of a certain type of individual that they think they should be dating, but it could be caught in a time warp and not be appropriate in present time. And I know that you fellas talk about us women and the height thing. Well, I mean, men are all about like certain ages. Men keep getting older, but they keep wanting their age range of the women to remain the same. So the guy might be 50 and don't want to date women that are like 35 and under. You know what I mean? But it was the same
see my
criteria.
Car? Right. You see the car I'm driving, right?
Young girls
your
like money.
My car.
Exactly.
You see that, right?
So, we all can get caught in this kind of rut of what we feel the criteria should be. And then also that the history of what we have gone through falls into the whole equation too. Like if somebody had a kid and it was a disaster, then they write off the whole universe of individuals that may have a child. When in reality, it's not like the same situation is going to occur, with another person. So
I know women that will not date a man who's been married before. They do not date divorced men. And I'm trying so hard.
That's so silly.
Yes, that is.
That guy has experience.
Right.
He knows what not to do.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
And I mean, a lot of women who say, men and women who say, I don't want to date someone who has kids, but you're like 45 yourself. You think you can meet somebody who hasn't gone through that.
This goes back to reevaluate your type. Because, I mean, you're 45 now. Okay, I mean, when you're 35, you can respect that. Okay, but now you're 45, so you have to be open to exploring different types of people and expanding.
We think about if you're 40 with no kids and never been married.
Something's wrong with you.
What's going on?
What did you do wrong?
And you can't win for losing.
I know.
You could be divorced
a lot of different criteria.
So you could never be married.
And that's what it is. They're all stereotypes. They're stereotypes. But moving forward, Sue, I want to get into, before we have to go, people, a lot of times, you talked earlier about people going on dates and writing people off after the first or second date. What about the total opposite? When somebody meets somebody and they're head over heels in love, oh, this is the perfect person.
Love at first
sight.
How
do you help them distinguish between love and infatuation?
I think it takes time. I don't believe in love at first sight. I believe you have to know somebody in order to love them. So it's going to be infatuation if you've just met them. It's going to be infatuation in the beginning.
We have such great chemistry,
and there's nothing
we can just
wrong
talk
with
for
that,
hours.
But keep it going. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket immediately just because that chemistry is there. Because as we know, we've been in relationships with people before that, and we had great chemistry with them, but it still didn't work out. That we weren't even compatible. So you got to let time pass, the relationship build, and then you can see if it's love.
So how important is patience? in this whole process.
Incredibly important. I mean, you know, the infatuation is really lust, and when we lust after someone, we're blinded by all of their faults. They can do no wrong. We're looking at them
blinded
through
from their faults.
Colored glasses.
Right.
Temporarily.
But you know, once the fog lifts, and then we see all the warts and problems that they bring to the table, then that's why it doesn't work out. You know, so
infatuation, I think, melts away, and love lasts. So, like I go back to the business model again. 90 days, infatuation can wane. I got to see somebody upset.
Right.
That's what I do. I might do something to piss you off.
You have a test, don't you?
Exactly.
Like, I'm gonna set you off.
I want to see how you handle pressure.
Right.
You know, and 3 months you get to see that 30-day cycle of a woman too. So
all 4 seasons. I always say
you get to see all 4 seasons.
I actually say that too.
A whole year,
all 4 seasons. In terms of springtime, the summer, the winter, the cold.
Exactly.
But it can last. I do believe that, you know, that infatuation type of love can last. You can be Googling
it can transform.
I've seen it. I've seen people have been married 40 years. They're still, you know, buying each other gifts, and he still brings her roses every week. It does exist. Right. But you gotta, you know, give it time and make sure that that infatuation is just the level that somebody may love you when it does happen.
Okay, we have 1 minute left, so really quickly from each one of you, how can people reach you, and you know, where can they see you?
KikiStrickland.com, and I also have a blog talk show called Dating Talk with Kiki Strickland.
Okay. Christie?
PremierMatchmaking.com is my website, and I advertise in the Washingtonian. Actually, I have a full page, article page in the back now.
Fantastic. Okay.
Mood Mondays, my Facebook is just my regular name, Jeff Brown. But Mood Mondays are selected Mondays at Optimism Lounge on 3301 12th Street Northeast, Washington, D.C.
Right. Okay. Well, once again, I would like to thank you guys for coming on today and for such a great discussion. Like I said, I want to thank Kiki Strickland, Christie Nightingale, and Jeff Brown for joining us today. If you'd like to find out more about my guests, please go on to our website, viewsandvibes.com. Until next time, I am Tariiq Omari Walton. Hope you learned a little something, and this has been Views and Vibes.